Today we're going to talk about the sound barrier, sonic booms, and what President Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex. We're going to do that through this aircraft, the X-59, which is a joint project between NASA and Lockheed Martin. Before we get to that, we're going to talk though about what happens when a plane breaks the sound barrier and gets close to the sound barrier. So as the plane, as any aircraft is going faster and faster, it's piling air up in front of it. This is akin to a ship going through the water, and you pile up water in front, and that water then makes waves pushing out from the side that we call the wake. Well, you get that with aircraft too, something similar to it. And it's all rather complex, and I admit I am not an aeronautical engineer, but I'm going to try to give it to you in what I understand is layman's terms. The air gets piled up in front of the airplane and in front of parts of the airplane that can't cut through it very well, like the edges of the engines, edges of the wings, and so forth. And then at a given specific speed and air pressure, which is, I think it's 741 miles per hour at sea level at 68 degrees, something like that. But let's just say 741 miles an hour. The airplane breaks through all that built up air that's been creating pressure at the front of the plane, and a shock wave passes over the plane where the plane has split the air, and then here it comes back together again. And that all together, especially with this part of when the air comes back together again, creates the sonic boom. Okay. Sonic booms exist anytime an airplane breaks the sound barrier, anytime a plane is going to go that fast. And they vary according to the type of plane. Every different aircraft has a different sonic boom. A real big airplane like, say, the Concorde had a very loud sonic boom. The sonic boom of the space shuttle, very loud. Sonic boom of F-16, not quite as loud. It's a smaller airplane, it displaces less air. In the early 1960s, the government did some sort of test, and I think the city was Oklahoma City, where they flew planes for like half a year over the city, breaking the sound barrier at random times without telling anyone about it. They wanted to see what would happen. And they got massive amounts of complaints. Everyone hated it because the sound barrier, or the sonic boom, is incredibly loud. It's like thunder happening. It's actually very much like thunder. Thunder takes place when the air is superheated by the lightning and the air goes apart and then the air comes back together again. That's what thunder is. Well, the airplane splitting the air and then the air coming back together again creates the boom, just like thunder. So it was scaring all these people. And so the government said, all right, we're going to pass a law that you can't break the sound barrier except under very special conditions inside the continental United States. There could be certain, the space shuttle coming back into the atmosphere. Maybe you file for a plan to do it with the SR-71 to set the record going across the country, but no more sonic booms and none from civil aviation. This actually caused problems with the Concorde project. The Concorde could not fly over the United States, and most countries around the world actually passed a similar law. You can't fly over land while you're breaking the sound barrier because it's just too loud. It scares too many people. The interesting thing about sound barrier too is it does not happen right when the plane breaks, just when the plane breaks the speed of 741 miles per hour. The entire time that an airplane is going faster than that. So if the airplane gets to a cruising speed of 1,000 miles an hour, the entire time it's at that speed, there is a sonic boom following below and behind it. There's this loud noise the whole time it's going that fast. So if you fly a plane across the country, the entire line of that plane's flight, there is this loud noise. Okay, let's talk about this project here. It's a joint deal between NASA and Lockheed Martin. And the idea behind this airplane, which is everywhere in the news right now, the idea behind it is to create the smallest sonic boom possible. And the literature says on it, it sounds like a car door closing rather than thunder. Okay, then don't exactly say where, is your ear right next to the car door, or are you across a parking lot from the car door? But they're saying it's something like 70 decibels, okay? But the interesting thing about sonic booms is they are specific to a specific aircraft. So a big airplane like the Concorde has a big boom, okay? Small airplane like an F-16 has a smaller boom. Both make a bunch of noise, both have thunder, but one's a really loud thunder and one's a pretty loud thunder. And the idea behind this plane was we were going to create an airplane that made a very small sonic boom. Why? Oh, because we just want to do that. Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a second. So the whole plane's designed around this idea. It's basically a dart coming at you, splitting the air, okay, with as little amount of air being separated as possible. It's 100 feet long too. That's something else. The length of the plane splits up the shock wave that's coming from the air being split. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but the length of the plane actually helps to break that shock wave up. So when it comes back together again, it's not quite as loud. Everything about this plane, canards on the front, these fins on the back, the very thin edge of the outer part of the engines, all of that is designed so that it has a small sonic boom. Why do they want to do that? Well, they just say they want to show that they can make an airplane with a small sonic boom, and then perhaps civil aviation will be able to do the same thing. So now we come back to people not liking sonic booms. They're really loud. And we come back to the fact that every given airplane has a different sonic boom. And without getting too mired in the details, the bigger the plane, the bigger the sonic boom. So why would they make this plane? What are the innovations? Well, all the innovations are in the shape of the airplane and all these little doohickeys on the airplane, including the fact that there's not even a bubble for the canopy. The canopy blends straight into the fuselage of the plane, and the pilot basically looks at a screen on the inside with a camera out front showing him what's coming. He doesn't even get to look forward in the plane because it has to be that sleek, okay? So all the innovation in this thing is in the shape of the hull. It's not the engine. This is an engine that we've had, I think, for about 30 years. It's on the F-18 Super Hornet. It's not in the landing gear. The landing gear was taken off of an F-16. And I think a lot of the electronics in the plane come from T-38 trainers. So again, all the innovations in the shape of the fuselage of the plane. But now we come back to what that shape is and what they want to do. They say they want to prove that with this aircraft that we could have civil aviation going faster than the speed of sound over the United States. Yet the plane that they're doing it with would have to be shaped exactly like this. There's just one person on this plane. The entire plane is built around one person making as small of a boom as possible. If you're going to build a plane that is going to go faster than the speed of sound and carry 50, 60, 100 passengers, it's going to be having a different shape than this plane. It's going to be bigger than this plane. Thus, it's going to have a bigger boom. So frankly, this is a one-off. This plane is just built to make the sonic boom of this plane, because whatever plane you build is going to have a different sonic boom. And frankly, it's going to be a bigger sonic boom. So now we're going to talk about the military-industrial complex, as Eisenhower phrased it, and I'm going to tell you what I think this plane is actually being built for. This is a public relations airplane, nothing more. There's nothing innovative about the aircraft other than its shape, and its shape is unique to it. You could not make this shape and make an airplane that carries 40 or 50 people. I think what's going to happen is they're going to fly this plane with much fanfare. We're going to see it on YouTube. We're going to see it on the news. It's going to be on CNN. It's going to be everywhere. Wow, it was a fairly quiet sonic boom, a smaller sonic boom. Okay, let's open up the law. Let's change the law. That's what they're going to say. And they're going to go, oh, the law shouldn't be written around the 70 decibels that this airplane creates. Our plane will be a little louder than that. So frankly, what I think this plane was done is a public relations thing. It's supposed to get all of us excited about changing the law about sonic booms over the United States. And Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Gulfstream, NASA, they all want that changed because then they can start making these planes. Sorry, maybe I'm paranoid. We'll find out if that's what it is. If you start seeing that law is being changed, you know I was right. So, the supplemental video. My opinion on changing that law. I like moments of quiet. I spend a lot of time in the wilderness. I go climbing, I go hiking. I spend time with my wife on the back porch. Quiet time. I like my outdoor quiet time. I don't want to hear sonic booms all the time. And if there are 50 or 60 of these things flying over the United States, there's going to be 50 or 60 lines of sonic boom going across the country. No matter where you are, deep in the Wind River Mountains, out fishing at your local lake, just having a quiet moment to yourself, you're going to hear that sonic boom regularly. I don't want that. I think it'd be really cool to be out, if it's happening out over the ocean, I'm all right with it. I'd love to fly on a plane that went that fast. But do I want it going on over my space in my home? No, I don't. It's too loud. It's too disruptive. I prefer to not have it.